And we are live. Hi, welcome everyone to another Digital Jamaica live show. We didn't do a countdown today because time was going, but yeah, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Why is it saying that this event was canceled on LinkedIn? What's happening? Uh, okay, never mind. So, all right, so we're having a little bit of technical difficulties apparently, but welcome again, guys, to another Digital Jamaica live. Before I bring on my guest, I want to thank my sponsor, G5 Cybersecurity, for pretty much sponsoring everything that we do on Digital Jamaica. Uh, this is somebody who I guess really believes, not I guess, really believes in what we're doing over on this platform and who has done just about everything to support us. And so I want to say a massive thank you to Gavin Dennis and the G5 Cybersecurity crew. Visit them at www.g5cybersecurity.com to make sure that you are in compliance with GDPR and with local data privacy laws, and to also make sure that you are securing your digital properties, right? But today we're going to be talking about social media and what has been happening on social media platforms. Now, I don't know if you know, right? But or if you've been paying attention really, but there's something really strange happening with social media. And I admit right now that my that the topic of today's show is a bit clickbaity, and it's on purpose, right? It's clickbaity on purpose, because I have been seeing a lot of things that has been going on social media, and I've been trying to figure out, okay, so what are we supposed to be doing with all of this? Why is it that our engagement has tanked the way it has tanked? And this is right across the board. This is not just us. Why is it that we are not? Why is it that the social and the networking part of social media has changed? Because that's really what I'm talking about when I talk about social media is dead or is dying. I'm really talking about the concept of social media and how that has changed. And y'all know I like a good presentation. So and a good dictionary definition of things. And so when we're looking at social media, we're looking at definitions. Let's define things, right? So social media, according to Merriam-Webster, is a form of electronic communication, such as websites, for social networking and microblogging, through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content such as videos. So this has been the definition of social media ever since social media started coming about. And in a minute, we're going to talk about the evolution of social media and what social media was actually supposed to be, right? So it was supposed to be about me and you being able to go on these websites or on these apps, find people that we share similar interests with, communicate with those people in real time, share ideas, thoughts, and etc. through content, right? That's what social media was supposed to be about. But if you've been on social media, especially if you're a marketer or an entrepreneur or a small business who use social media to communicate with your audience, you realize that this is not exactly what social media has evolved to become. And social media is always evolving. It's never a static platform or a static thing, right? And so I found this article on the Atlantic. I don't know if you are seeing my screen. I found this article on the Atlantic that is talking about how social media has changed. So it says, as the original name suggested, social networking involved connecting, right? not publishing, but connecting. And by connecting, you're connecting your personal network. So people that you already know, your strong ties, with people that you are yet to meet, your weak ties. All right. So, and you could combine these two things and create a larger network of people in your contacts, right? And the whole idea of social media network was the whole networking part of it. So you're building deepening relationships, mostly with people you knew. And you're also bringing in, again, new people to form relationships with. And, how it says how and why that deepening happened was largely left to you as the users to decide. So whether it's through content sharing, now we have going live and having like this, now we're having this real-time communication with people, sharing articles, clips, whatever. How we communicated was largely left up to us technically, because the platforms dictated the kind of content you could share on that platform. But this is what social media was about initially. But social media has evolved greatly. So, in talking about how social media has evolved, we have to talk about where social media is coming from, because the evolution of social media, or the start of social media, coincided with the evolution of web 2, right? So where we move from me putting content on the internet and you being able to access the content but not being able to have a conversation with me, the creator of the content, about it, to us being able to have a dialogue and two-way communication on these social media platforms, right? So social media started, or you can say that the genesis of social media goes all the way back to the 1970s, with the bulletin board systems, where you could, use this bulletin board to connect with users within closed groups, and you can use it to generate content such as newsletters, etc. We move from bulletin boards to what we call IRC, Internet Relay Chat. So chats, you had Yahoo Chat, you had America Online with chat rooms, etc. That kind of system. But that system started all the way back in 1988. So in with IR systems, and these were like the predecessors to instant messaging, you could chat in real time using chat rooms or a chat room type of situation. Then we had chat rooms and forums with America Online. Then we moved to actually the first iteration of social media, which was 6 degrees. Now, a lot of you don't know what 6 degrees is. 6 degrees actually still exists, right? But 6 degrees was a site where, and it was mostly for college students, where college students could meet other college students in different colleges, different places. They could meet, they could create profile, they could have a friends list, they could network online. Sounds familiar, right? Yes, because this was like the first, as I said, the first iteration of social media. Then we had Open Diary, which was like the first online diary platforms where you could go and share your thoughts and whatever, and people could comment on it, right? We moved from Open Diary to Friendster in 2002. A lot of us weren't on the internet like that in 2002. And this was an online community, again, that you could network, meet friends, you could date. It was a partial dating app. And it connected users based on their relationships, and you could upload content to that platform. Then we had the platforms that, this is when I think the Caribbean, Jamaica, started getting on the social media train. MySpace in 2003 and High Five. And these were spaces for friends where you could create custom profiles, have your top friends, meet friends online, publish blogs, share photos, share music, all that kind of stuff. Then 2004 happened, and well, in 2003 as well, there was LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is kind of one of the oldest platforms, it like proper social media platforms for businesses, and it was a networking site for business professionals. Then in 2004, Facebook came on the scene, and the game changed. The game absolutely changed when Facebook came on the scene. And remember, Facebook was a Harvard thing where it was just to connect people within the Harvard community to each other to become friends or whatever, and it blew up and became an absolute phenomenon, and that changed the entire game as it relates to social media and Facebook. And for this entirety of the thing, I'm going to be blaming Facebook for a lot of the problems that we have in social media today, because Facebook was really who started the old social media ads, the algorithmic social media. It all blossomed out of, or bloomed out of, Facebook, and then everybody has started following, and it became a shit show as far as I'm concerned. But now I'm gonna bring my guest on, because we're really gonna get into this whole the Facebook, the metasization of the of social media, the Facebookization of social media, whatever. How social media became, how Facebook revolutionized social media, and we can argue whether it's for the bad or for the good or whatever, but it definitely changed. So my first guest is Rachel Callahan. Rachel is the founder of Start Social. She's a marketing consultant, strategist, entrepreneur with 10 years in the advertising and digital marketing space. She has experience creating digital campaigns for well-known and loved brands. She is a Toastmaster, and the current host of Kingston Beta. Right? She is the lover of a good story, which she captures in her YouTube series, hashtag Start Stories, where she talks to Caribbean entrepreneurs about their journeys. Excellent series, by the way. Particularly love that episode with Kenya Mattis. And then our next guest is Kevin Clark. He is a digital strategist and communications professional with a combined experience of over 15 years. So all these people, guys, Rachel and Kevin, know more than me about what's happening, because they've been in the space longer than I have been in this space, right? So welcome Rachel, welcome Kevin. You've seen my little introduction, and me admitting that, yeah, the title is clickbaiting, because what I'm really talking about is the concept of social media. Do you agree with me, yeah or nay, that social media has evolved, um and do you think it has evolved for the worse or for the better? Who wants to go first?
And Kevin, are you gonna take? All right, I'll take that one. Since Kevin, it is undeniable, Kadia, that social media has evolved. It will continue to evolve without a doubt. I think the question though of whether it's for the good or for the bad, it's a toss up based on, I think, where you're coming from and what your expectations are and what you want from social media. I think for businesses, it's been great. It's been able to widen their reach to their audience, and at a far better cost, right? Can't compare that to traditional media. We now have an opportunity to get our brands in different ways in front of all of these hungry eyes that maybe we would have worked harder to get to. It's easier for people to spend their money now. So if you're a capitalist, it's go. But for everybody else, if you're a purist, if you came in maybe just for the connection, if you came in for the pretty pictures, then maybe you're a little bit, you've lost the love for social. So
Yeah.
I say it's a toss up depending on where you come from. What do you think, Kevin?
So morning, everybody. I agree with the idea that it's a toss-up, but I must say, Kadia, I'm a little peeved at the fact that you did not mention high five in any evolution
I
of social
did.
media.
I said when we
Okay,
talk
so I
about
mean,
MySpace and high five.
okay, 'cause that went over my head, because I think when we talk about social media, we have to look at it like a democratic country, or at least a new country becoming a democracy. I think that's on the social front. That's what social media did, and it really was an evolution of existing social spaces that were already there. So if we have ever heard about something called the public sphere, which is basically spaces that we gather and talk, as we see, as time changes and technology changes, we see our public sphere and our public spaces changing. And so social media as it exists right now is just another public sphere and a public space that we're using. The evolution unfortunately, the bad parts of it, I think, are attributable to the fact that as with most technological development, our laws and the people who govern are never keeping up with those things.
Mhm.
So we were like, great, in 2007 when Facebook went wide to everybody, we're like, this is wonderful. And then after the 2016 election, we started to realize that there is a whirlwind that we're reaping, and we're kind of dealing with all of um, those consequences. And then normal capitalistic things come in the way. So like monopoly, so Meta buying up everything. The word that you're looking for probably is metastasize, and it's related to cancer. So it just spreads and wants to take over everything, but that's really what it does. Those are the bad stuff. But I think there is a value, and there will always be a value in us seeking community as human beings. So that's who we are. We're going to seek community. The question now is how it's going to look, and that will continue to change.
Right. I'm glad because I'm hearing myself echo. I'm glad you said it because what I wanted to talk to you guys about is that whole community aspect of it. Because as I said, we've kind of moved from social networking to social media, right? And there's a difference. So we use social media and social networking interchangeably, but I don't think they're interchangeable because essentially social media is when you think of media, you're thinking of broadcasting channels. So think of traditional media like TV and radio. They broadcast. And what comes with broadcasted content on a channel? Ads, right? Because that's how you keep that channel alive. You keep that channel alive by running ads. And so you're broadcasting information. And while you're broadcasting information, and Dion Jackson Miller does this thing where she says, we're gonna go take care of some business and come back. I don't know about you, but I hate when I love Darren Jackson Miller, but I hate when she does that because I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so we know that you guys run ads because it's a business, but do you have to tell us all the time, that kind of thing? So it brings that to mind when I hear social media. I'm thinking radio, TV, having content, but yet heavily ads based, right? Ad revenue is the whole point of it, as opposed to social networking, which is a largely communication based platform where there's an interchange happening between you, the creator of the content, me, the consumer of the content, and there's also role reversals happening. So at some point, I'm the creator, you're the consumer, and then there's a reverse where you're the creator and we're the consumer, right? And
Yeah.
the whole idea of it is me being able to create the space that I want with the people I'm interested in to consume the content that I want to consume. But now that it's a media platform, which is why it is replacing traditional media, right? Ad revenues on social media platforms have skyrocketed, right? Now that is a media platform, it is starting to resemble traditional media platforms. So we're moving away from the social part of it and the network part of it to media and ads, and all of that is being controlled, or we're being bullied by algorithms, right? Because that's what it has now becomes. Because then the algorithms, not me, now decides what I see and who I see. And now let's look at Instagram. I'm scrolling on Instagram now. I don't even know who I'm following and who I'm not following. I'm like, who are all these people? And sometimes I have to check. I was like, did I follow you? Because I don't recall following. Why are you on my feed? Right? So that the community part of it, which was where the networking and the socialization part come in, for me is dead.
I don't agree that it's dead. I just think, again, like everything else, is changing because Instagram is not a dating app, but people use it for dating. So people are using it for that. The chat function is alive and well, and what you're finding is that so Instagram and Meta were not just stealing features from other social platforms; they were stealing them from dating apps as well because they want to function in that way. And I think the big thing that they didn't tell us when they were starting up most of these platforms was that we and our content was the product.
Was a product.
That's what they have to sell. That's their claim to fame. So that's why they're so obsessed with the number of people who are using it and the amount of time that we spend on it. So
Right.
obsessed that the money that they're making by pushing advertising to us, they're now using to create new content. So if you watch Red Table Talk, this is an Emmy Award winning show that is based on Facebook Watch. It's embedded within the network. And that is something that we need to just come to grips with the fact that we are the product. And so when I see people becoming influencers and using the platform and becoming content creators, that's a way for them to get back something out of it, because we are literally what they have to sell. It's nothing other than us, whether it's our attention or our talent.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But still, um, it's not so much that I have a difficulty with it evolving. What I have a difficulty with is how it is evolving. Me and my articles again. This article from Vice, right? For years, our social media feeds have largely not been unadulterated streams of posts from friends and people we've chosen to follow. Instead, the content we're most likely to see is famously selected by inscrutable algorithms, which themselves can be bypassed by who? Advertisers who pay to boost or promote their post, right? So this article is really talking about how social media is dead. But clickbaity, because what they're talking about is how advertising has really, whether we like it or not, completely changed the way social media even functions, right? And that has been my biggest issue with social media platforms, and that's why I think that certain platforms are becoming way more popular than other platforms because of what we see when we're scrolling through those platforms. But Rachel, let's bring you in.
Yes.
What do you think about all of this?
So even though I see where you guys are coming from, I think a point that we also need to consider is how our needs and our demands from social media has changed. It's on the amount of time that we're spending online is unprecedented. We've gone through 2 years of things that we've never experienced before, or needs or demands from being online have also changed. And so I think that's a part, something that we have to consider is the fact that these people who have developed these platforms are also watching our behaviors, our needs, and testing out the things that maybe before we didn't recognize that we wanted, and are now making those things available as well. So remember, we started off with networking. Now social media is a major source of entertainment and education as well, right? And
Yeah.
as such, the platforms too will now have to change to kind of meet your needs, to give you the things that you now want, or you're gonna find it somewhere else.
Is it meeting my needs though, Rachel? Is
It's
it?
not meeting your needs, but I mean they're growing year over year.
Is it meeting your needs though, Rachel? Because if you look at what happened with Instagram, and I agree with you that we've seen an acceleration of evolution of social media during the pandemic. I agree with you on that, and that's when social media became the number one entertainment spaces, right? But look at what happened with Instagram. Because right now, nobody knows what Instagram is supposed to be or what it wants to be or what are we doing with with Instagram at this point. And what was happening when Instagram started to become TikTok? People are like, listen, I don't want to do reels. I really don't. I don't want to post videos. We were telling them that we don't want these new things, and they were like, it's too damn bad. That's what they said to us, and they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So in some small way, yes, the machine learning and what we want and what we don't want, but when we tell them what we don't want, not a damn thing changes. So I mean,
Well,
Instagram did kind of roll back one and two,
yes, it
but now
did.
it's
It
back.
did.
But now it's back. So they roll it back for 5 minutes until we shut up, and then it's now back in our face. Because Rachel, Do you like reels?
Do you know? Not gonna say that I like them, but do I consume them? Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I think your love for reels depends on the cap that you're wearing. So if I'm being very honest, for someone who works in corporate and has to create content, I don't much love reels
I hate
because no, because it's a different approach to creating the content, and you have to there's a lot more considerations for creating the content now. Whereas before, and if Instagram was being a photo sharing and image sharing app exclusively, the consideration before was focusing on creating images that could capture people's attention and being creative with it. Now you have to not just focus on images, you have to know, ensure that you're getting video. Okay, fine, that's easy enough. You can get a camera. But then you have to also consider the type of video. It has to be authentic looking while still being within whatever industry you're working. You are hoping that it will capture the attention while not losing the message. Because if I take off my work hat and put on my personal hat, I too consume reels. And I like consuming reels because it gives me so much access and window into the world of other people, etc. It's entertaining. There's so many jokes, whatever. So with that, there's always this balancing act when it comes to them, and I'm always having to think, okay, yeah, but what I like is not what matters. I have to ensure that I try to find a way to get this done for the business. And interestingly enough, when you look at the most recent research that came out from HubSpot about trends that marketers are looking forward to and platforms that they're looking forward to working on in 2023, Instagram topped that list. Why? Because it's accessible, it's new. A lot of marketers are still reluctant to go on TikTok because it's a little overwhelming and intimidating. They don't want to fail. They don't want to fail publicly, and they don't want to fail in a big way. So they will stick with Instagram. It's a safer space, and they're able to do different things. So a lot is happening with the spaces and how people consume the content. So
But who is our audience though? Is our audience, well, you're coming from a corporate perspective, but Gen Zers are not really on Instagram. Gen
and
Zers are predominantly on YouTube. And funnily enough, Gen Zers are who's keeping Snapchat alive. And it's mostly because of the filters. They love a good
which
filter,
is
right?
which is
That's why
fine.
TikTok is now pushing filters. So wouldn't you say that it really depends on who the audience is that you're trying to reach? Because if your audience is, because we're elder millennials, right? If it is, and clutch your chest, Rachel, but we are there, right? So we can talk all we want, and our perspectives may be biased in certain way because we are not necessarily there. But I hate reels. I'm just gonna put out there that I absolutely hate reels. I hate when reels pop up on my thing because let me tell you why I hate reels too. Because did Instagram have videos before? Did
They did.
Instagram, okay, did we
They
have a
did.
problem with Instagram videos before? I don't think we had a problem with Instagram videos before, did we?
We didn't.
We didn't. So what Instagram has done is like, we know y'all like videos, and if you remember back in 2019, 2020, Instagram was like everything is video, 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 video. And that funny looking guy that keeps coming up the head of Instagram that keeps coming up and telling us stuff on Twitter, that guy, he was the one who keeps talking about videos, 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 videos. And then TikTok came along and started kicking everybody's tuchus. And it was the format of TikTok that was different about that. That's what made TikTok kind of stand out. And then Instagram was like, we know y'all like videos, but would you like videos in portrait? And we were like, not really. We're cool. We're good. We're really good. And they're like, no, you're gonna like videos in portrait. And then videos became a thing, but we were already doing videos on these platforms. Instagram had already evolved from just static image to videos, and then you could go live and save your videos on your thing. Now
Mhm.
everything is virtual, and am I
Katia, hold on. Katia, don't disregard one thing that you haven't mentioned is Vine. Do you guys remember Vine?
yes,
Yeah.
we remember Vine.
Yeah.
Vine,
So
Vine
TikTok is
is
the new
it,
Vine.
Yes, it's pre, and there was something called Musically.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So,
actually TikTok. Right.
right. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, I get that you hate it, Kedia, right? And I get that it's because
It
you're
is
coming
not
from a
strong
place of comparison. But
enough.
remember, and Kevin said it, it's not about you and what you like. You have to look at what what the stats are showing you,
Sure,
what
sure,
people
Right.
overall are saying. And so if it is, Vine was a major success. It didn't live for very long,
sure. Mm-hmm.
but it was one of those platforms that kind of birthed the idea of virality, right?
Sure,
You can put up one thing and then it goes all over the world.
sure.
So it's almost as if, well, not almost as if they have to take these things into consideration and test you out. And sometimes we don't know what we want until we got it, right, Kevin? A part of marketing is creating demand for some of
Yeah.
these things.
Sure.
It has
So
to be aspirational.
But,
Yeah.
it
but
has
see,
to.
we are comparing ourselves as marketers to major social media platforms. They don't care. I don't
Not
think
really. Not really.
I don't think
Um,
it's a matter of them caring about what we want. I think it's what's going to make them the most money in
which
terms
is
of.
fine, which aligns. No, but
Sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
yeah, what I would say is that what they want aligns with what we want. So in a
No?
way, well, what we need to also understand is that we, the users of the platforms, are not the customers.
Okay.
We're the product and we're consumers. We're not the customers. They're customers. So client care for Instagram is not for you and me
Mm-hmm.
in our personal capacity. It's for the organizations that we may or may not work for that are spending money on advertising for them. It's
Sure.
not for you and me. And so a lot of their actions are also driven by what we, the customers, are saying. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of, and when you are seeing, as a reference the HubSpot report, when you're seeing that 25% of marketers in a global survey plan to invest more money into Instagram for 2023, that is significant because it means, therefore, that they have a commitment from companies, from people who represent companies to say that we are going to spend more money here. And that is the voice that counts, not the consumer voice. I think the other thing that we also have to keep in mind when it comes to the platforms is that um, the audience segments that matter are the ones who spend. And I
Okay.
know that there's this idea that Gen Z are important. Yes, it is, because Gen Zers are involved at this moment in moving culture and they can get stuff. But who are the audience segments and the population segments who are spending money on the
Right.
things that you are selling? So I work in the financial sector, not saying that Gen Zers are not spending money or saving, but when we look at the persona of our clients and where they are at in their lives, we expect that a 40-year-old is more likely to consider a mortgage, is more likely to consider, investing and whatever. And we're going to focus on that. Where are those people? Believe it or not, they can be found on Facebook. And I think there's a blind spot that a lot of people casually have about a lot of platforms because they think that social media is for young people, we're not realizing that on the back end of that, older folks, so you might call them slower, but this is now their time. So where we were 10 years ago, this is them. So they're all over WhatsApp, Facebook, and Facebook is thriving, by the way. So it might not be thriving with young people, but it's thriving. Why? Because of one thing that we have not touched yet, and it's e-commerce. And if you notice, all the platforms are optimizing themselves to make
For sure.
e-commerce easier.
Yes.
Right. They're optimizing themselves to make e-commerce easier. So I have a Facebook account, and the way I use it has changed because in 2007, when I created it, it was created to connect with people I knew from high school, whatever. My use of that has changed. However, I wanted to sell an item the other day and I went on Facebook Marketplace, and within days it was sold. Where are these people from if nobody's using it?
Mm-hmm.
And a part of that too, if you look at just how the connectivity of this platform is, the Facebook app is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put that on your phone, it's like literally like a cancer. It takes over everything. It's all up in your business. I don't use it. I use the light version of their messenger because it's less invasive, but their app is very powerful. and it does a lot of things. And so a lot of people, it comes pre-installed on Android phones as well. A lot of people sign in and they don't realize that it's literally taking over their phones. So they are on Facebook Marketplace, whether they think they are or not. They have access to the chat. They are connecting with people. They're seeing what's happening. They're able to share their misinformation. It's integrated in a way that we are not. It's a blind spot, I think, and an opportunity for some folks to use to reach audiences that actually may want to spend money and convert.
So the question there is, because I agree with everything you said, and I've taken the time to gather myself because I can't believe you people like reels. But I agree with everything you said. So, and I think we're in alignment. We're just saying it differently because the point I was making is that it's evolving from socializing communication to transactional kind of sites, right? You will agree with that, Rachel, Kevin? Right. So no, it's more transactional because if we're going to talk about, but who's spending though? We're talking about transactions. We're talking about who are the persons that are going to buy. And so, and then we're talking about what marketers think about certain things. And this is another reason why social media has evolved, because it's now a marketing site. It's now for businesses to come on and grift on social media platforms, right? So, okay, so grift may not be the nicest word, to sell their wares, cash for gold kind of style on social media now. Because remember one time social media was the soft sell, not quite anymore. Not quite anymore. There's still elements of it, Kevin. I see your gasp. There's still elements of it, but if we're honest with ourselves, ads rule social media
True,
quite
true,
a lot these days.
but there is
Hold the butt.
go on, yeah.
Hold the butt. Right? And so what we're really talking about for the persons who are out there going, what are these people talking about? I have no idea what they're talking about. What we're really talking about is how social media has moved away from me and you as friends. From casual use, hey, look at my lovely meal, to a marketplace, to a ad space. It's not like Times Square where it's just billboards everywhere and lights and fresh things and sell you this, sell you this, sell you this, right? So it's become that kind of space. Marketers have moved in, businesses have moved in, and because of that, some people stay sure, but people are migrating. And there's one article, guys, that I read that talks about how social media is all starting to look alike, and that may be an issue too, because before, what you people would use different platforms for different things. Remember that, where we go here for certain things and here for certain things. Let me show you this article. You guys probably get tired of me and my articles, but I like reading these things. Okay, so this says TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all starting to look the same. It says it's melting together. Instead of using separate apps for family, friends, news, whatever, everything is now pretty much the same. It says down here though, it's the follow model would allow you to build distinct feeds. So we go on Twitter when we want to meet the founders and have conversation with the founders, and it's more culture things that are happening within the culture kind of thing. And because you could have conversations on Twitter, that would be the best space to do it, because you can't necessarily have conversations on Instagram. You're responding to something. It's kind of a response kind of platform, right? Facebook was for family and friends, and Kevin just said it. He went on because he wanted to reconnect with his friends from school, etc. Instagram was the entertainment space. You want to see pictures, you want to see videos. YouTube is where we went to watch more long form content when we're trying to learn something, or when we're trying to again, it was still entertainment, but it was more edutainment, right? So we had different platforms that we used for different things. LinkedIn is where we went when we wanted to talk about how great we are as business people and entrepreneurs and all that kind of stuff. You already know I don't particularly fancy LinkedIn. But the point is, there were different platforms for different things. And it allowed us to move around the social media space to get what we needed to get from these different spaces. But now that everybody's doing the same thing, because TikTok is coming on and going, hey, what's up? And everybody's like, oh, TikTok. And realizing the absolute force that TikTok is, these platforms started to change. Some by force because they had to compete, and others through self-destruction, like Twitter, because Elon is over there, Bob the Buildering down the hill out of Twitter, right? So is Twitter's demise is self-induced, and so is Instagram, because Instagram, in an effort to compete, started changing up everything, and even marketers were complaining about that at one stage. I guess now we have to adapt, because like adapt or die. But at first, it was jarring, because imagine, as a marketer, as a small business, as an entrepreneur, you're on these platforms and you start get used to it. And you know, okay, if I post at this time, and if I post this, and you have your little calendar, everything, and all of that is out the damn door at this point. And so everything is starting to look the same, and everything is now concentrated really on a few platforms come in who try to do something differently, they die. Clubhouse, rest in peace, I didn't like it anyway. Clubhouse came in, that died a slow death. And so there's a feeling, I don't know if you guys would agree, there's a feeling that there's something happening. You can't quite get your finger on exactly what it is that you're supposed to do. And I'm not talking about you, Kevin, who work in the finance and you're doing socials for big business, and you, Rachel, we're talking about the everyday entrepreneur, the local small business people. They're confused as hell as to what is going on and what they should do, because they don't have the budget to be running ads all the time. Anybody got that kind of money to be running ads all the time, right? And to be able to push their content out to the people. So things are getting it's all lost in the sauce, and people are confused and not knowing what to do. So can we talk to those people about what is happening and what should they do? Because big business can say, oh, we're going to invest in Instagram, and they're talking millions of US dollars. We're talking about small businesses who don't have that kind of money. Rachel, what would you say to these people about what's happening on social media and how they should tackle it or confront it, because they're confused?
Okay, so I would say don't compete, create. And I say that to say, as a small business, you have the opportunity to be more flexible and to adapt to things more quickly that somebody like a big business, they're not able to take that on. We're not even talking about budget. We're talking about creativity. We're talking about you having your finger on the pulse of your customers and their direct needs. Like there's core foundational things that when it comes down to customer service and marketing and understanding your customer base, that once those things are in place, you do have an opportunity to capitalize. It's not about hitting everybody. Even the biggest businesses are not trying to hit everybody, right? So what I would say is take a step back. If you have to keep on learning. A lot of times people go into social media thinking that it's a simple thing. I'm just going to snap a picture, I'm just going to do a little video and push it out and everything is fine. As with anything, an investment doesn't have to only be cash money. It can also be investing in learning, investing in growing with the platforms, investing in the foundational things that don't cost you money upfront. That's one, right?
Mm.
Two, like I said, double down on the creativity. Utilize your customers, utilize those happiness factors because you are so close to your customers to boost your social media. There's nothing better than a customer review from you, Kadia, who hated my cupcakes yesterday and now you love them, right? There's that Kevin can spend 500 US dollars, right? And they might create the same amount of value in the online space if your content isn't worth more. So it's not about panicking. It's not about thinking about a dollars and cents. It's about deciding that this is a space that you're going to utilize, and you're going to invest your resources, monetary and otherwise, into understanding how you're going to utilize the space as best as you possibly can.
Okay, so you're saying there are some foundational things that they're going to do. You're talking about creativity, but a question to you about creativity is, remember one time when those things that you say it's not just about that used to work, where I could just post my picture and post my video and I get my engagement and I'm like, yay, I'm doing something and go about my business. That doesn't work. No, I have to use trending sounds and I have to be on there miming sounds and okay.
And not okay, so
Doing all of that. I remember I'm still
Mhm,
running a business. I'm still trying
absolutely.
to do my own thing. Do I have time for all of this?
But the same thing could have would have been, I'm going to say, an excuse, forgive me, before as well, because there were business owners when social media just came out and they're like, why do you want me to stand up here and take a picture with this thing? Just come and buy the damn cupcake, right?
Yeah,
You're gonna taste it, you're gonna like it, come back again, right? So the idea is, as things change, people are always going to have an issue with change. But if
right,
you're running a business, the market is going to change, the needs of your customers are going to change, the mediums that you utilize are going to change. So you
right.
have to commit, grow or die,
Do
change
I
or die.
gotcha? Kevin, Rachel said, not even big business targeted everybody, but why do I feel like big business is now outbound on social media?
They are. Big business is outbound and they have to be because that money, that $500 that Rachel spoke about, there are a number of factors that are governing how that is spent. It's harder to come by, and
Mm-hmm.
we're getting smaller budgets, and we have to use and one of the reasons why social media and digital is so attractive is because of the price point. That's the reality. And so we're able to do a lot more. But in order for us to do a lot more and be successful, we have to be much more targeted. So we
Right,
have to look at the groups and the audience segments that we want to use with a fine tooth comb, and choose those and ensure that our spend is we're speaking to the exact audience that we want to. I think in addition to everything that Rachel said and co-signing that from the small business side is the fact that anybody know and everybody's trying to do this, but smaller businesses will have an advantage building community and trying to grow community. Very important right now
very
because it is an opportunity for you to create your own grassroots advocates, people who will speak highly of your product or your service. And if you encourage them through what you're doing within the business to be vocal about what you are doing well, then that is how you build community. And I remember I was on a platform recently and I used Spice as an example of just how to build community.
yeah.
The moment to hear best is, say Spicy as about. And then other than that, she has just been able to, apart from her music and everything that she does, she has been able to really support this community of people who, to grow this community of people who regard, no matter what she does, they are there with her. And
Mm-hmm.
those people who were fans become customers and they're there to support her, they're there to defend her and everything. And I think businesses have to adopt that in a meaningful way. It's a bigger opportunity for smaller businesses because they are at that intimate level with their customers, and it's a wonderful thing that they will it's harder for them to lose. And it's going to be much more difficult for a larger business to grow that because there's a lot of doubt, mistrust, in growing and building a community. So that is what I would add to the mix of helping you with, social media and fighting budgets.
Right. And so we're wrapping up shortly. So what I'm hearing from Rachel and Kevin, is that I am being an alarmist. I am being an alarmist, and maybe my own personal biases about social media is coloring the way I feel about social media as an entrepreneur, well, a former entrepreneur. And I completely agree with them. I'm not even gonna lie to you. This was just me wanting to rant and wanting other rational voices to come in to, so y'all can have something sensible to listen to. Because otherwise, it would have just me being here 1 hour just ranting about social media, right? So thanks, guys, for the rational voices. But they're absolutely right. So social media is definitely evolving. It is not what it used to be. Do not think about social media as a place to go to meet friends and all that kind of stuff. It's not even necessarily, Kevin, a community-based platform anymore. As I said, I think it's more of a marketplace, which is not a bad thing. It just means, as Rachel said, you have to adapt to what social media has become. And if you want to go back to what social media was, you're going to have to create your own spaces to be able to do that, which is what you should have been doing, because we've been telling y'all from the beginning, you need your own spaces because it's catching on social media platforms, which is why some of y'all cry when they can't log in by Instagram because them suspending an account. Throwing my words at Rachel, who can't get one Twitter. Who has been Twitter suspended for a minute. Watch Kevin.
I can't even lie. I can't even lie. I have, and this is a public announcement, right? That I want back my access. It's been months. I have gone through the process. All right. I'm hoping that Elon is listening to you, Kadia, somewhere, because this is foolishness. This needs to end. Goodbye.
Rachel, why are you banned on? What did you do to Elon? You hurt
Nothing.
feelings. What did you do?
Nothing. Kadia, in 10 seconds, randomly got some kind of message saying they're seeing suspicious activity about 6 weeks, if not 2 months ago. Gone through the reporting process. It's just a loop. Everything is broken. They send you a link. Click on this link to reset your broken. It glitches. It literally will glitch like this. Then it stops. You email them again. They're like, they send you back the same link. Then the link doesn't go anywhere. Right? They tell me that they need to SMS the code to me to unlock my account. The SMS is not coming through. I am done with Mr. Musk.
Yeah, I think he probably fired the people who were helping you. Sorry.
I mean, Twitter to me seems. Kevin, do you use Twitter a lot? Twitter to me seems like.
No, I use no. So here's an interesting fun fact to share with you guys. As bad as we believe Elon is, and I am not an advocate for him in any way, I'm actually spending more time on Twitter because of this annoying for you feed that he has created. I do. You know why? Because it's putting, no longer do I have to hope that I will catch a retweet of a friend's tweet. I now see it and the full story immediately because he's sharing what is on, he shares my friend's tweet, he shares what people are saying in response to that. He's also sharing what other people are talking about, and people are talking about adjacent. He's obviously watching what I spend a lot of time looking at, even if I don't like it, because I see some things coming into my feed. I don't know, but I'm using it a lot more. Like I literally I've had to just say, you know what, put it down, take a break, because I'm using it a lot more. So I'm not saying that he's a genius, but I am saying that I'm using it. I'm using it a little, but I'm using it a little more, and I hate to admit it, but that's my experience. In terms of everything else that's happening to the platform, I know there are many companies that are not going to be paying for
Twitter Blue.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Companies have to pay $1,000 a month. That's unacceptable. It's unsustainable. We're not doing that, but we'll see. But yeah.
maybe it's me, but I'm seeing a lot of things on my Twitter. And I was like, who asked you for? Okay, so at this point, I'm going to admit that I don't know what social media then apparently, because I'm just gonna clearly it's me is the problem, because I'm using Twitter right now and I'm seeing a lot of, first of all, this For You page again is thanks to TikTok.
Yes.
Can we spend 2 minutes talking about how TikTok has completely, so first it was Facebook that revolutionized social media. Now it's TikTok that's revolutionizing social media. And everybody's trying to catch a piece of the TikTok pie because TikTok eating, right? So everybody's trying to get a little bit of that TikTok pie. Now everything is for you. I just want to see who the people that me follow, how me like, and then
Well, I don't
explore.
follow that. I don't follow that many people.
No,
So
I'm seeing some weird things from some weird people. It's like, what is happening? Where are all the funny people that used to post the real cool posts? And where are the experts that I used to follow? It's from my Twitter right now is a graveyard. I tried Twitter ads. So somebody says, so I think it's Jermaine says, I tried Twitter ads, didn't see any ROI.
it depends. It depends.
Yeah, but he said that he's killing it on TikTok,
I love it too. It works. I
and
see what I want to see. I see
he
what I
uses
want to see.
restricted mode, but it works for him. I'm not yet on TikTok. I
Oh,
am a
you're not. You're
consumer. I'm
not.
a consumer of TikTok. I am addicted to TikTok as a consumer. As a marketer, I don't use TikTok. I don't
Oh.
really like
Mm,
like TikTok.
mm.
But I want to, because we'll have like 5 minutes. I want to quickly talk about though, guys, and something I want your opinion on it. Kevin already said it's all about community. So when we're talking about what does this obvious dramatic shift in social media mean? Rachel already started by saying we need to evolve, blah, blah, blah. But what does, I don't want to just leave it at we need to evolve. What does that look like? What does that evolution look like? And so the first thing I have on my list is something what Kevin just said, community building. I think community is absolutely is what we have already been telling y'all to do. Create quiet spaces to build community with less distraction. If you want to have that direct communication like you used to, could have kind of have, although a lot of it was in your imagination. But if you want to have those spaces where you can have direct communication with the people that are interested in you and interested in what you have to offer, community is important. So I'm saying you have to go back to building your email list. You can't get away from email. I know you don't like email. None of us like email, believe me. But email is still very high converting. You're not going to get away from that. Your messenger apps, I think Kevin already referred to the report, but in that same report that Kevin, it probably wasn't HubSpot. Is it? Are you talking about the We Are Social report, Kevin, with HubSpot and
I think the We Are
Hootsuite?
Social. No, the We Are Social is Hootsuite.
It's
This
Hootsuite.
one is HubSpot. Yeah, it's
So the
different.
We Are Social report, which we have to rely on because Jamaica, we don't collect data like that. So what it's telling us is that if you look at the most used platform, Facebook is still out there by a mile. So we can talk about Facebook being dead or dying all we want. What we're really talking about is how Facebook functions in our market. In our market, Facebook is not as popular as in other markets, unless you're big business. Big business in Jamaica, the Caribbean is killing it. JMB, Barita, killing it on Facebook. Killing it on Facebook. But smaller business entrepreneurs, not necessarily, because our audience are not necessarily that audience. Those audience don't necessarily come inside. However, I do think it's because we're not putting enough energy and effort into Facebook. I think there's an element of that because we just don't like it. There's that. But the messenger apps, WhatsApp is number 4. Hello? WhatsApp is number 4 on most used platforms. And the messenger apps are on there. Telegram, I think, is number 7 or number 8. So you're talking about Telegram, WhatsApp, and we don't even talk about Discord. Discord have 15 million active monthly users. That's nothing to, sorry. 154 million active user monthly active users. That's nothing to scoff at. And it's a platform where you can do audio, you can do video, you can put anything on your Discord platforms, and it's a very good community based platform for you to be on. The problem with Discord in our community, in our market, is people don't like moving to apps they don't know. People don't like downloading apps because trying to get them to Telegram is a task and a half, right? So to introduce this new app that they're like, I don't know about this. That's why Slack never really took off for Jamaica like that. So we don't like, Jamaican people like, me used to this and I this me I use. I mean, I really want to go nowhere else. And so now you have to think about how to kind of move them from one space to the other. I think that's where the messenger apps coming, and I think messenger apps are good for that. Text and chat apps are as well, I think, are good for that. So that's me when it comes to community. You guys know, what are your other what should I call it? What else would you tell them to do in order to adapt, as Rachel said? Rachel.
I want to throw a big stone before we answer that question. I
I
love how
mean,
you said how much work that you have to put in to move people from one application to the next.
Rachel, you
That
tell me
is
say,
why you have people replicating features, because people don't want to move. If it is, you remember you made a post earlier that you're saying that that's why you have everything kind of looks alike, and you
right?
go here and they have the same features. Not saying you, but that was a point that was raised.
Sure,
I
yeah.
loved that in you, what you just said. That is exactly why. The
Yes,
moment
Rachel,
people
I
identify or they
understand
make
that,
up,
but that
yeah,
don't mean I can't complain. I'm
you're
just
right, but I
complaining.
can still throw a big stone.
Sure,
So
and it hit me
stone
right in
thrown,
the field.
okay?
It hit me right in the feels. Okay, what's your next thing that you tell them to do? What's one of the things? Because I see Jermaine say I joined late. Any resources that can help me grow my community? Before we go back to that, Rachel, what would be your next advice to them? What else can they do? So we said community building. What else?
Okay, big word that Kevin used earlier on: advocacy,
Okay.
customer advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to basics,
Mm-hmm.
touch base with the people who are spending the money, right? Who
Mm-hmm.
are frequenting your platforms, and find out why they are doing what they're doing, and kind of who they are,
Touch
because
base.
they are an excellent reflection of the. I mean, it could be through the same socials, but I would recommend building out your database, right? Find ways of collecting information about them. We hate the idea of data collection, but the truth is that, as with these social platforms and ourselves as businesses, we're here to provide value and to please our customers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's how, when we understand what their needs are, then we're able to come back to them and say, oh, okay, what you really liked. Everybody sells cupcakes, but what you really liked about Rachel's cupcakes is that you could call me the day before, and I invoiced and sorted out everything within 24 hours. Again, the basics. Understand the needs of your customers. Try to learn more about your customers. Collect information as much as you can, relevant information, by the way, right? And then use that as a pleasure point then
Such as
to
relevant information, such as.
relevant information. So let's use the cupcake idea. What is it? Try and kind of bed down on why it is, how they found you, why they've chosen your business. Maybe what did they feel about the price that they spent? How did they feel about the service? What would they have liked to see? Do they want a cash on delivery option? Like, it's going to be on a business to business basis, but the
Mhm.
core of what you're trying to find out is, what did you like? What do I need to improve? And how can I continue to further create value for you,
And
so that I can use that information?
what do they do with this information, Rachel? So I know why you like my cupcake, why you come to my business, the price points you prefer, which one of my cupcakes are most popular. What do I what me do with that after I collect it?
multiple things. You can use it as a basis to create content. You can use it as a basis to improve or upsell that particular pleasure point. I can use it as a
Pleasure
means
points,
of maybe
yes.
building. Apologies, we say pain points. I kind of said pleasure
I'm
point,
just
but
saying, pleasure points are like a whole different show.
okay, well, that's not what we're aiming for today. But the idea is, and I think we're understanding, is that we're trying to find out what they like and we're going to further what they like. Right? So use it for content, use it for your decision, your strategic decision making as a business.
Sure.
Use it for your advertising. So many things that you can use it for. Use it to build out a future customer base.
Gotcha. Kevin, should
And the list goes
small
on.
businesses and entrepreneurs start investing more in ads?
I well, it depends on where they are in their journey. If you have topped out on other areas, but I don't think that a small businesses need to all start with
Mhm.
ads the first time they're out, right? Because I think this happens in big businesses, by the way. Our sales efforts are, how do I put this clearly? We diminish the work of the sales team because we're saying social media can get it. The reality is that the face to face, that in your face, hitting the bricks salesman is still important in 2023 as he was in 1973. You need people to meet people and to speak with them. You can't just leave everything up to social media. So the work that an entrepreneur should be doing at the early stages of their business cannot be window dressed by social media. You have to do that work. So you have to go out there, you have to pound the pavement, however that, whatever that looks like to you. So if you're selling cupcakes, you're going to network at the bakery, at the baking supply store. You're going to network at the wholesale, the supermarket, your suppliers. That's where you network, and you're going to find customers. And I think, thankfully, some of the platforms that are now available won't even require you to advertise. And whenever the question of small businesses comes up, I'm the biggest advocate for using WhatsApp. You're literally able to build out an entire storefront using WhatsApp. And
Yes.
how are numbers shared? From people to people. So if you are doing it in such a way, send everybody in your family home group or whatever group you have and say, hey, share my business, please. I want whatever. That's a way to build that network. Then when you have plateaued and you think you have matured in that area, you can then spend a little $20 here or there. I have seen this too many times where with the high levels of fraud that we have, a lot of small businesses who still not ready and them still not set up themselves, create a little Instagram page and spend a little money on advertising. And you're like, I am not spending my money with this company. I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know if you're real. So give yourself the benefit of doing the work on the ground. You can't beat that. That work is still important. And then you build up the social media. I think a lot of people know when they think of owning a company and owning a business, they immediately think about the marketing and the publicity and being able to see
Excitement.
it and visualize it without actually doing that work to get the people, the
Yeah.
real connections. It's important. It's good that you can have something for sure, but don't make the be all and end all of your business be your Instagram page and the advertising that you have up. It should be the work that you're doing to be. It should be timing on that was very good, Rachel. But it should be the work that you're doing on the ground to make that business real.
Yeah.
Um, and everything else is just adding to it.
Adding to it, and that's an excellent point, and I think that's also a point that Rachel was trying to make, is that again, regardless of your personal feelings about it, and regardless of the point or the fact that social media is so accessible, which is why a lot of us beeline to social media when we have any ideas or we want to start a business, is because it's accessible. It's easy to use. Everybody's over there. It's the entry point is very low, but that does not mean you should not be doing the work. And coming back to the point of networking, Curated events face to face is coming back with a vengeance because we've been locked up for 2 years and everybody just want to dash out outer road at this point, right? And so face to face events are, I think, the last Kingston Beta event I went to that Rachel hosts was packed, was absolutely packed. The food is good. Rachel, y'all need to tell me who you get food from because the food was good. So if you're not coming for nothing else, come for the food because it good. Anyways, and so so curated events are another thing. So you can start curating events for your own small business. Collaborate with all small business. This is what is it Kingston Market? Is that what it's called? Kingston Night
Kingston.
Market.
Oh, night market.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Night market. So it's just a bunch of businesses coming together in a space and showcasing their stuff. Conoco Market is the same thing. You can also do the same thing, right? You don't have to depend on them, sure, to have curated events. As I said, you can put on your own at a virtual curated event or in-person event where you get a little space, you collaborate with some other people, say you sell juice, you sell bula, you sell milk, make you come together in a space and have a little experience, put on an experience for people so they can be introduced to our different businesses. And because our businesses complement, not compete with each other, we can, we'll draw our own audience into the space and we collaborate and we can make some money together. That's another thing we need to start doing, collaborating with each other, not necessarily competing, and then understanding who you're competing with and who you're collaborating with, because I think some of us are confused as to who we're competing with. And when you don't know who you're competing with, you're going to spend a lot of time and invest a lot of energy and money into doing things in an effort to compete with somebody that don't even see you. Not in the no, right? Don't do that. So I think, yeah, going back to what Kevin said, you still need to network. You're not going to get away from the foundational things when it comes to building your businesses. Networking is foundational. I mean, networking. Remember what was that Friday event called?
Corporate
Corporate
mingle.
bingo. Remember corporate
Yes.
bingo? Right. We need no. With corporate bingo need to come back. So with more of those kind of face-to-face networking, curating events, there's Kingston, but there's several of them that happen. You just need to be in it. And that's another thing, understanding the industry that you're in and what obtains in the industry that you're in. Where are the networks? Who are the people? All of that is important, because then you have Kingston Creative for creative entrepreneurs. They're always having something. There's always something happening at Kingston Creative. There's always an incubator, a program, some kind of meetup. There's always something happening. So you have to make sure that you keep your finger on the pulse of what Opal says she likes, that put on an experience for people. Yeah, there's always something happening. So you have to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening in your industry. And sometimes, and you guys can let me know, adjacent industries. So not necessarily an industry that you're into, but an adjacent industry that you may want to pivot into or sneak your way into, because there's something of value that you can provide to that space as well. So you also have to identify what are the adjacent industries around, or niches around your niche, around your industry, and tap into those as well. So I have like 3 more, right? Videos. You don't like it, I don't like it, and you can say, oh, I don't like to put my face on camera. Is it me, Kevin, Rachel? Is it me, or is it annoying when you're telling a client that they need to make more videos and they need to put their face out there like, but me not like camera? What does that mean?
Well. So there's an entirely new genre, I would say,
Mhm.
small business videos that have been created thanks to TikTok, which is the behind the scenes. Those do so well, and me, I don't know, but I love to, just like those organization videos, they are the same. So I love to see somebody packing a box and putting on
Yes.
the sticker and printing the label and all of that. Yeah, it's very, I just like seeing it, and they do a voiceover and stuff like that. So I think there is a way for everybody, regardless of their sensibilities, to join. There's no excuse anymore. There
No
is a way for you to. it doesn't matter what you do, because if you are, say, a masseuse, right, and you don't want to show your face, you can show your work. If you're a nail tech, same thing. So I think there is a way, and people just need to adjust and find that way. Yeah, taking themselves out there, but find a way to do it. There's a way.
Rachel, should entrepreneurs be creating more video content?
Yes, if you have your foundations down pat. As Kevin said, if you have not sorted out your foundational stuff, don't spend the time online. Don't bother investing in the video and the content creation or whatever. Get your stuff together. Maybe have a maintenance approach to your platforms where you share stuff time to time. Yes, create your videos if you can, but make sure your foundation is packed. If your foundation is secure, then 100% videos are algorithmically going to rank higher. People love interacting with a short video. You get so much more. You get to learn about the person. There are some nuances that a photo cannot capture that videos do such a fantastic job in kind of bringing together in a short, very digestible way. So yeah, if everything is good, start investing in building out video and more content.
Rachel said, don't go on Beyonce's internet, right? Go look for customer and consumer. What on a business not ready, what on a setup good, what on a proper. Because there's a lot of times when you try to, and this happened to me, I try to reach out to a small creator, because me like small creators and businesses, I feel I'm a part of that community, so I try to support the community. Boy, so me not have a price for that yet. Me not really sure. Me think about it. Sorry? Excuse
No,
me.
not answering the phone. Something as basic as you don't answer your phone, you don't
Or
respond to your
DM.
messages or your DMs. Come off. Why are you here?
Come off for the people
Come
them
off.
internet. And stop take up space and time. And bother.
Business,
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
Server
Stop it.
space. Server space is
Stop it.
expensive.
Yes. So if your foundations are right and you are actually a business, not a party shop, yeah, then
Party
you can.
shops do very well,
Well,
please.
we're not
Thank
talking
you.
about party, right? They don't do very well on social media. That's a whole nother show. But anyways, because they ain't hitting. You need to have your foundations laid. I will keep saying that 5 million times before you start trying to attract customers, because this is one of the things that social media can do for you, right? What social media can do for you is give you a lot of eyeballs. Now, how you convert those eyeballs is all gonna be up to you, right? And so your foundations have to be in place. So Rachel said, not just videos, short videos. Again, this is thanks to TikTok. Everybody's now into this whole TikTok thing, because we are now into the scrolling era. Everything is scrolling, and we're addicted to the scroll. So you have to make scrollable content that when I land on it, I watch it, I go, ha ha, funny, scroll. You have to make content that is scrollable, short. You have to pack a lot into a 1 minute. Because even though TikTok is like, oh, you can make up 10 minutes, ain't nobody on TikTok gonna sit down and watch a 10-minute video unless it is unless it's pasa or some kind of excitement or drama. Ain't nobody gonna watch a 10-minute video on TikTok, right? So you will have to pack a lot. And as to Rachel, what you want to say?
I just want to say that there is space for long form, but utilize
Of
the
course,
platforms
YouTube is the
as
second biggest social media platform.
right. So
Yeah.
so grab them in the short form, translate them to the long form if you're trying to communicate full value.
Yeah, and that's where you don't reinvent wheels. Don't reinvent wheels. For instance, we have this live stream show that goes on for an hour and a half, right? You know how much content I can get out of this if I was doing what I was supposed to do, which I am not. Don't be like me. I could get so much content out of this. What's that guy that love to talk on Instagram? Gary V. have a thing where he talks about how he can get over 100 pieces of content out of a 1 hour presentation. He's absolutely right.
And a podcast.
And his podcast, exactly. So you can repurpose the content that you are currently using. Why Rachel doing her face like that? You can
Because I want to say that Gary V has a whole team who is sitting down, breaking
exactly,
out that 1 hour piece
exactly.
into
That too.
100 pieces of
That's
That
content.
true.
too. That
Also,
too.
mind your resources. Continue.
That's true, but it doesn't negate the fact that he's absolutely right. You can get a ton of now. If you have a little extra, you can sprinkle upon your little thing. Fiverr is a good place for you to go and get people who can help you break out some of these content.
Actually, there's AI in Arcadia. There are AI platforms that can help you to do all of that. So
Drop them,
yeah,
drop them. Give me one. Give me
yeah.
one.
They have Podcastle. You can use it to create videos from the content. The videos with the you can actually have the video inset, it
With
can be
audio,
branded, and you have the audio wave. Yeah, it actually generates those for you automatically. There's another one that there are different ones that you can use to transcribe,
so these
to write
script is one.
articles. Hmm?
These script is one.
Right,
Although
that's one.
have a very steep learning curve. Oh my God, it's not intuitive at all. But it's
There's Rev as well
rare.
that can
And the
transcribe
one
for
I
you.
use with podcast is Headliner,
Right, that
and
one.
Otter.
Headline is good.
Otter is also good. Otter is also
Yeah.
good. And I think Otter is good because I think it's one of the best in terms of translating our accent. Because that's another
Mm,
problem that we have with
mm. Mhm.
apps. They're not good at transcribing accent. But Otter, I give it a 80 to 90% accuracy. Um, Cardboard sign guy said, "Who has time to listen to these podcasts?" People listen to
People
people listen
listen.
to
People
podcasts.
listen.
Podcasts. You have podcasters who are making
They,
million. Well,
they
maybe
listen.
not again. It's about the market. Our market is really just getting used to the whole podcasting thing. We are not there yet, but podcasting is actually a big, big thing. But going back to what Rachel said, bite-sized content. There is space for long-form content because YouTube is still out here. But I think one of the reasons why YouTube is so successful is because even though it's a long-form content, it's content I want to watch. So if I want to know how to pull down a computer and put it back together again, or how to build a website, there are 3-4 hour videos that I will gladly sit down on YouTube and watch. So it really it's YouTube is very interest based. It is very interest based, and people already know that it is an education type platform, hence the whole YouTube University thing. So people will be willing to watch that kind of content. But in Jamaica, the content that does well on YouTube is sus. Let's be real. Is sus content about how murderous and violent Jamaica is, and
Yes.
entertainment based content. That's the kind of content that does well on Jamaica's YouTube Jamaica, unfortunately. But
I
you
think the
have
world over. The world
sorry,
over.
what was that, Rachel?
I'm saying the world over. People
Yeah,
Yeah.
people love entertainment.
They love true
The world
crime.
over. I think it's not
Yeah.
just Jamaica.
Yeah.
right,
True.
right.
Major.
But whereas there are a lot of genres, we tend to do well in particular genres, and that's not abnormal, mind you. I'm just talking about the particular genres that we tend to do well in. Sports as well. But you have people like Stuck on an Island and Rashil, who are doing really cool things over there on YouTube. We have gamers who are killing it on YouTube. Yanrike is one, and there's another guy that I keep forgetting his name. They're doing very well on YouTube. So it really depends on the type of content. But again, you're not stuck with comedy. Yes, how can I forget? Comedy does very well on YouTube right across the board, including in Jamaica. But it really depends on the audience that you're trying to reach, because there's this electrician guy that is killing it, a Jamaican electrician, I think he does construction. Anyways, he's doing very well. We have Moments by Booth. So we do have Jamaican channels who are not within these genres that are also doing well. I think it's just about you finding your niche and realizing too that your audience does not have to be Jamaicans. That's another thing. I know Learn Grow Invest is also doing well. They're on the show right now,
Mhm.
doing well with their finance based content. I think Jermaine just said that their minimum video is 60 minutes and they have over 75,000 watch hours. So they're doing it that
Yeah,
way.
and that just to add, Kadia, I'm glad that you're mentioning these other niches
Yeah.
because from a corporate standpoint, that's what we're looking for. Corporates are looking for people who are not just in the fray. Because unfortunately, if you are caught up on and trying to be a part of Jamaican pop culture, then a lot of times you will have issues with brands feeling comfortable. Because
Yeah.
some aspects of what is super popular in our culture right now are not necessarily
Attractive
across
to
the,
people.
across the board palatable. Yeah, it's not what they want to be aligned with per se. So you see some of our brands working with people like some of the names you have mentioned and others who are doing. They have niches. You actually have people who are doing their little HGTV things, on YouTube, and we're actually paying attention to those people because they are satisfying a niche, small audience, but micro influencers are key, and they are addressing something that is interesting to us.
Yeah.
So those little interesting things that people are doing, I think that's key for the content creator. They have to, if you don't feel to be caught up in the jokes and whatever, do you, because that might actually be something that a brand will say, yeah, I want to work with that person.
Yes, off the rip, I think they're doing something amazing too because they're looking behind the scenes in the music industry, but from the composer's perspective. So the people who create
Mm.
and create the music.
Mhm.
How did you come up with this, or how did you start work with Beyonce or whosoever? I think that's very, very interesting because
Yeah.
you don't really hear from the beat makers necessarily. You hear from the people who create the music, but not necessarily people who create the beats. And I thought that was very interesting. So yeah, niche content will do well again. And as Kevin says, if you are a content creator and you're looking to work with certain brands, first identify the brands that you want to work with. You have to, and then look at the kind of content that they're pushing on their platforms, the kind of people that they're working with, and then know the kind of content that you need to kind of how you need to streamline yourself. Now, I'm not saying that you need to only create content based on who you may want to work with. I'm saying there has to be alignment, or you're not gonna get that sponsorship deal. Shoppable content. For some reason, we still don't have Instagram shops. I don't know. Okay, but shoppable content is becoming a thing, and I think it was Kevin who talked about, or Rachel who talked about e-commerce. One of you talked about e-commerce and how platforms are now moving towards making it easier for people to shop online, and this is regardless of generation. Gen Zers, Gen Xers, millennials, we all shop online at this point. And if I can do that within the app that I use the most, then hell, you know what I mean? So creating shoppable content, that is also good. And this is how you can do it without having Instagram shops. TikTok. What I see them do on TikTok is something you could also do on Instagram Live. They go on TikTok and they talk about their product. So they do a live, and the live is them making the product or trying on the product or talking about some details having related to the product or something like that. No, me not gonna say you're gonna come with a hanger with a shirt on it and say, see our shirt here, $500, $500. You're not doing that, right? It's more of a storytelling, kind of telling people how the concept of the shirt came about and pointing out some details and how much hours worth of stitching this, because people like stuff like that and people are willing to buy things if they think there's value in the thing. And I'm not talking about the price, I'm talking about the value. And the example I always use is of um Jamaicans.com. That guy who run Jamaicans.com, the video he did with the Jamaican castor oil when he went up into the mountains of Oyo and showed the lady making the Jamaican castor oil and the long process it goes through. And the people in the comments was like, I'm never gonna complain about the price of this again. I'm going over there to buy it because I didn't know that it took so much. So people understanding your process and how long it takes you, Kevin, you're getting a shout out, and how long it takes you to create something or buy something. What you're doing is conditioning them around to your value proposition and your value process to say, we may be more expensive than what you're used to, but this is why. And that way you'll have less people going, oh, expensive, we want to say expensive, but more people going, well, I'm willing to buy something because there's more value in it for me, and so I'm willing to spend. And then of course it's likability. They have to like you and like your brand, right? So there's also that. So shopper content. Another thing is mobile first marketing, because everybody's now using their mobile phones. In the same Hootsuite report, the We Are Social report, they talked about how there has been a significant increase in mobile people accessing the internet. First of all, 71% of the global population access the internet through their mobile phones. 71%. So more people access the internet through their mobile phones than anything else. And what does that say? Your content, whatever you're doing, have to be able to find it from a mobile, and it have to be mobile friendly. It have to look good on the mobile. It have, yeah, coming out, go and go on desktop. Ain't nobody doing that, right? So it has to be. Mobile first marketing should be something that is first in your mind. Another thing too is diversifying your platforms. Now we all talked about earlier how all platforms look alike, but there's still room, and Kevin and Rachel can tell me if you agree or not, to diversify your platforms. You can diversify the content on the platform or how the content is presented on a different platform. The latter is you saving yourself a whole lot of trouble, but still diversifying the content. And what I mean by using the same content, but how it's presented differently. So this entire show is going to be on LinkedIn, it's going to be on YouTube because it's live on these platforms. But what I can do is take snippets of the show that I think would perform better on the platform. So with LinkedIn, Kevin's clips will probably work better on LinkedIn because Kevin is talking about business, right? Same with Rachel. She's talking about entrepreneurs. Who's on LinkedIn? Businesses and entrepreneurs. But if I was going over to Instagram to share clips, I'll probably share the clips about the small businesses, the small entrepreneurs, because those are the people who are on Instagram. So it's the same show, but different clips on the different platforms because I'm speaking to different sides of my audience that are on these different platforms. What do you guys think? I mean, it's a lot more work, but if you want the people them and if you want the engagement, Rachel.
Yeah, I'm in complete alignment with you. I think that what's going to be important is if you're trying to preserve your resources, it's going to go back to understanding who you want to touch. And understanding who you want to touch will determine the platforms that you utilize and which ones you prioritize. So if you know that, for example, that your audience is going to be on LinkedIn primarily, then you'd probably put your resources and your energy into building out the pieces for that. And then your secondary YouTube or Twitter can probably come later than your stream or whatever the situation is.
Exactly.
So 100% aligned. 100% aligned. Use the people who you are trying to get in touch with to dictate where you put the majority or you prioritize your resources. You don't need to be everywhere at the same time.
Exactly. And a big example of how to kill it on LinkedIn, Kalila Reynolds. Because Kalila Reynolds, as soon as you open LinkedIn, is Kalila Reynolds. And Kalila Reynolds is the first 3 or 4 videos, and it's videos that she's posting on LinkedIn. And you'll see she's posting videos on different platforms, but what she's posting on LinkedIn tend to be a little bit different than what she posts on Instagram. And she's also killing it over there on TikTok. Okay, she's not reinventing wheels. She's just posting different bits of her content on different platforms based on what she thinks the audiences on those platforms would prefer. Somebody else who's killing it, Terry Carell. Terry Carell is killing it with stories on the different platforms. And what are these two? What do these two people have in common? They are not creating new videos for the platforms. They're repurposing videos for the platforms. So from their shows, from their speaking engagements. They're just taking those videos, turning them into clips, and posting them on the different platforms. And I think that works very, 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 very well on platforms like LinkedIn, etc. And Jermaine says something that I like. Jermaine says likable doesn't mean pretty. I'm not talking about you having to look glam and fabulous. No, I'm talking about people need to buy into the why of your product or your brand. People need to have an understanding of why you versus this person and not that person. That's what I mean by like. And people love an underdog. So once you can put yourself in a position where people feel like they're rooting for you and they're a part of the community and blah blah blah, you'll get them. And the last thing I have to say is increasing your searchability. And this is one reason why you have to diversify your platforms. Because when I talk about diversifying platforms, I'm not just talking about social media. I'm talking about website, podcasts, email, WhatsApp group. That's what I mean by diversify, because we tend to stop at social media when we talk about digital marketing, but social media is only one small part of digital. I mean, it's huge, but it's still small part of digital. Kevin, what do you say? Whether it's SEO or AIO, because artificial intelligence is now part of search engines, but we need to become more searchable. How do we do that, Kevin? Kevin video just went off. Oops. Rachel, how do we become more searchable until Kevin comes back?
We're talking about tagging. We're talking about looking at keywords. If we're talking about websites, we're talking about tagging. So that is, if you're putting up content on your website, make sure you're looking for the relevant kind of words that go along with your content so that it will rank um, as your content exists in the space. If we're talking about social, hashtags are still a thing. Just know where you want to appear. Sometimes, especially in something like an Instagram, some of the people that we're seeing are accounts that are linked to a hashtag that we had followed. Maybe not recently, but there was a hashtag push a couple years ago, and I feel like I actually followed some tags. So that is also still active and still will put you in new feeds. We talked about making sure that you're using keywords in all your content, right? Because you want that consistency to be there so that when people search, whether they're searching in social or they're searching outside in your traditional search engines, that is an opportunity for you to start to rank.
Kevin, how do we become more searchable as Jamaican businesses?
Jamaican businesses. I think we have to make a decision to start a website at some point in some form, even a one-page one at the beginning. Start a website, even a one-page website. I remember they used to have this service called About Me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a one-page profile that you could set up and you could populate it. I know a lot of uh, consultants and even young professionals used to use it back in the day, but start there. I also think don't ignore the social media platforms. I agree with Rachel in terms of not stretching yourself too thin and being on all of them. However, they are highly searchable. And so they do rank very high in search results on Google. So even if you're only servicing one and redirecting all the others that you have claimed your spot on to that one, still have them with all your information, with your business information, so that people can know where you're active and also be able to find you. Because that's the first thing most of us do. We go on social media and we search for people or businesses that are new to us. And I think it's so refreshing when we find out that, okay, this is a real thing because we're seeing it. The other thing, don't ignore the power of Google and all the tools that it has for businesses. It is very directed. If you are lucky enough to have a physical location, go and set that up, put the
Google
location
Business.
in, set up a Google business thing. Sounds simple enough, but again, these make the difference between whether you get the business or not. Because a lot of our decisions, a couple of years ago, well, a year ago, I heard that younger folk were searching for info. They were using TikTok and Instagram more than they were using Google. Don't know how true that is, no, but the fact that people are searching for stuff on these platforms, your location information is vital. So ensure that in setting up as a first step when you're setting up all of those things, set up these. And remember, they're all free. So it doesn't take much out of you to create a Google business profile. It doesn't take much out of you to create a LinkedIn page or a LinkedIn page for your business. So do those things as a start, but definitely get to the point where you have a one-page website
Mm.
that at least says something about your company. Then when everything is going bigger and better, you can build it out.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree. And one of the ways that you can become more searchable is by diversifying your platform. You don't have to have all the socials, but you have to have the foundational things. The website, you have to yeah, have the socials, have your website, do the Google My Business kind of thing. Blogging is still a thing. We may think blogging is there, but blogging is still a thing. Podcasts, and that way, what you're doing is you're creating more instances of yourself that the search engine can then use to, one, identify you, and two, to find you when the search query comes in. So you're creating more instances where you can be found. So if it's not on social, it's on your website. Not on your website, it's on your podcast. If not, right. So you're creating more instances, and you're giving, because understanding how search engine work, you're giving Google more points to find you at, or more, what you call it,
To
but the
kind
thing,
of validate you.
yeah, more pinging thingy bobs to find you. Listen, I said what I said. You're giving Google more instances where they can find you. That's pretty much what I mean. And so it's not just about though having a website, it's about understanding SEO, and all SEO is what do I want to be known for, and then using and then finding the keywords within that niche or industry or whatever, and making sure that you're proliferating those keywords across your web platforms, because keyword stuffing is a thing and it's crazy. So making sure that you're using different iterations of the keywords, etc., not just on your website but also on social media, because that's also why social media is searchable. So making sure that all the information, the keywords, as Rachel said, etc., is out there and it's available. So those are all my suggestions. Community, as Kevin and Rachel says you have to adapt curated events, curating your own events, because people want to come out a road and want things without a road. More videos depending on the platform, bite size, easy videos that don't require a lot of commitment. So videos that I can just easily watch and go about my business. Shoppable content, mobile first, platform diversity. And the reason why I harp on about platform diversity, somebody cussed me off on Twitter the other day, guys, because she was like, why is it that I can't find more Jamaicans that are talking about, I forgot what she said talking about. I was like, right now I can give you 5 content creators who talk about these things. Where are you looking? And she cussed me off and told me, chat to me, she never asked me a question. But still, the point was made. And the point was that we as consumers are not diversifying, the consumers are not finding us in certain places because we're not diversifying. But also consumers, Jamaican consumers, are not diverse in where they look for things either. That's also something that we need to grapple with. So everybody just need to expand their idea of digital and make sure that people can find you where they need to find you. Do you guys have any other tips that you want to add? Rachel, Kevin, any additional tips you want to add? Or final words to wrap up?
I think just to address what you just said about us being able to find, I think for um, content creators, yeah, I think we need to find a way to create more community. And I know, and the work that you are doing, Kadia, is very helpful in that, because you are bringing together these individuals who are working in the tech space and in the digital space. And I think that's good. I think we need more of that. So, but then we also need, I don't know what to say, a forum, but how can we find them outside of when you might put together a list? Because I think, unfortunately, that problem where I go on Google and I'm searching for something about Jamaica, or even searching for people on social, I can't necessarily find a group of blogs unless hopefully somebody does a blog post and they say these are the top 5 Jamaican, so and so and so. That's the only way I probably discover some. That's the
Mhm.
only way I'm able to discover some bloggers. The other thing too is that a lot of bloggers like myself may not necessarily be focused on Jamaica centric content. So I'm a Jamaican, I blog, but my content is not telling you the 5 places you can eat in St. Elizabeth. But I have a perspective that is in Jamaica. So
Mhm.
how can I be a part of that community and how can I be found? I think when we work that out, I think that would be good too. Because there are so many voices and there are a lot of people doing the work and they're
Mhm.
out there, but it's a matter of being able to identify that diversity in a meaningful way.
For sure. Rachel?
Hmm. I One of the things that comes to me is the idea of creation over competition. I think that in this space as entrepreneurs, as freelancers, as creatives, we tend to, as you rightly said, Katie, we tend to look at each other as competition. And the truth is that there isn't much competition happening here, you know? So I think that if
Yeah.
we want to expand
Was
our
that
audience,
was that
no,
shade, Rachel?
no, I'm just saying that we are all better served to work together, to
Mm,
collaborate in ways that are mutually beneficial to
mm,
grow our audiences. There is enough audience for everyone. There's enough food for everybody at the table.
yeah.
So reach out to use the networking component of your social media and reach out to people. I mean, Kadia, we met online, literally. DM.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
Right. We met on LinkedIn, right? Kevin, we know each other in real life. But the idea is that there is space for collaboration, focus on creating, and we can all grow together. We
Yep.
all benefit.
I am so happy. So somebody asked just now, when is the free social media Oh, Opal says Jamaicans don't freely give up info. Well, you see, we name that out. We give up information free over here at Digital Jamaica. But you're absolutely right. It is actually a thing where information is kept in silos a lot of the time, and that's actually why Digital Jamaica became a thing, because trying to find information can be very difficult. And Kevin just said it, he depends on platforms like this to find out who's doing what, because y'all are not visible. Y'all are not visible. And sometimes it's not that you're not visible, it's that you're not relevant. And I don't mean for that to sound away, but true. And when Rachel says there's not a lot of competition, to be honest, I don't know what Rachel is trying to say, but what instantly came to mind for me is that everybody's doing the same damn thing, and there's not really a lot that differentiates people within certain spaces, because we see one person doing something and it worked for them, and then everybody's like, let me do that too, and not understanding that this may not work for your audience. It may not be something that you need to do, all of that, but we're all learning.
Can I say something,
Sure,
Kadia?
sure, sure, sure.
And this is in direct response to Opal as well. And I can agree to what she said in part because that's her experience, but I also feel that we collectively as a people do not have the information seeking behavior that we should for our own survival some of the time, right? We do not search, we do not do our research, we don't seek it. We are in this era where we want everything to be sent to us and it's to be shared, and that's kind of the reason why so much misinformation is delivered so easily and digested so easily, because people just take it as they get it. They don't do that little research, and there's so much information and just take it from the government, for example. I don't understand why people will speak about what do you call it, propaganda from the government, when government information for the most part is freely accessible and available
True.
publicly. So I think that that's an issue that we also need to just confess to and admit that we don't seek out information the way we need to. So, for example, I can guarantee that if either of you on your social media platforms do a post tomorrow detailing how to start a business, it will be the biggest post you have on your platforms next week because everybody's going to be like, oh my God, really? Okay, I'm going to save this because that information is freely available on multiple government websites as well as other websites out there. But people somehow think that it's not and they don't search for it. So that's something that I think we need to also empower ourselves to find, to search for information as well. And it's there, and the resources are there. People are writing and it's online. But yeah,
And I think Jeremy may be onto something here about people giving information but not necessarily marketing that information. And so it's not easy to find. I think that's where he's going with it. But that's I think that's also true. But it does mean that you're gonna have to go and search out the information to be able to find it. But guys, we could go on and on and on and on. And I really do thank you for your time. And Jeremy was asking, when is the free social media workshop? Well, it's next week. Rachel and I and some other folks, and I'm gonna ping Kevin and ask Kevin if he's available for roll up. Going to be doing a strategy planning session at Kingston Creative for a few select people. Now, this one is free, the others won't be free. So, the whole idea is to have regular sessions with small businesses and entrepreneurs about how to effectively market your business, not just online, but market in general. And this is another thing, too, guys. And final thing before we sign off. Do you think one of the problems is that is our my grammar that people don't understand marketing? They don't intrinsically understand what marketing is, and so that's why they're having difficulty marketing online, which technically is the easiest form of marketing. Do you think I find that when you ask people, okay, so what is your marketing strategy? Crickets. Oh, what are we talking about? No marketing strategy, and so they only know about online marketing because it's a sexy thing now, but they don't understand how they can then convert what your gains online into the traditional space and combine the two, and that's when you have a powerful marketing apparatus that is going to work to make sure that you do become visible and you do increase your searchability, etc. Do you think that's a problem, or is that just me?
it's a problem. But I will let Rachel speak on that because she actually studied marketing. But I think it's a problem.
Unlike
But
us, Rachel is the
Woo!
most qualified to talk.
Wow. Okay. All right. Is it an issue? Is it an issue? I'm going to say, guys, that before things got names and ended up in textbooks, they existed, right? Before all of the big MBA and BSc of marketing and whatever, all of these things were things that were happening. The woman in the market knows how to market when she gives you a free sample of this, when she gets a new this, try this, da 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 da. So I think that yes, there is an issue with understanding marketing, but I think perhaps what would be helpful is the simplification so that we see that we already kind of understand what marketing is to a certain extent. Because I mean, at our core, we understand some basic things, when you tell your friend about something and say, no man, tell Kevin that Kadia sent me, that Kadia sent you. All of those
Mhm.
things are can be qualified and quantified in marketing. So yes, there's an issue. We have the foundation. Maybe it's simplification so that we understand the application.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
saying that you think
So yeah.
marketing is an intrinsic skill, but we just don't know that we know it?
I'm going to say, not everybody has it, but yeah, I think it's something simple enough that sometimes we do it without understanding that we are doing something. How do I put it? marketing, people, place, product, price, promotion, right? People, who am I selling to? If I'm selling tomatoes and I'm selling tomatoes uptown, tell me if you've never walked up to a vendor looking uptown and going, "Hi, how much are your tomatoes?"
You're breaking up a little bit,
Your
Rachel.
price to match your audience.
Yeah.
Oh, apologies. Are you hearing me
Yeah, you're
now?
back. You're back. There's a delay. Yeah, man.
Okay. Okay, all right. So I was using the example, the fact that marketing is the 5 P's, and we see
Mhm.
it happen every day. If you go up to a vendor anywhere and you come there and you're hoity-toity and you, "Good afternoon, how much is it for a pound of your tomatoes?" They'll look at you, and chances are your price will change a little bit, right? Because they feel that based on the audience currently presenting themselves, they're gonna do some value-based pricing, correct? And
Yes.
but if you come up to them in your, "Miss, sell me da 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 da," and they say something, and you say, "No, man, but so and so has it for $100."
Happy
They're
that.
going to, well, I'm not paying that, right? What will happen is they're going to change. So, in that simple transaction, there, it's people because they understand their audience, and maybe Miss Uptown may be able to afford a different price. And the
And that
alteration of the price,
went downtown to buy it, so she more than likely gonna buy it from you.
there you go. That is place, right? And promotion is when you have the man saying, sale out, da 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 da, fresh tomato from, fresh from St. Elizabeth, da, da. Those things happen. None of those people had to sit in a classroom to know that that makes sense,
So,
right?
so should we, Kevin, go back to not knowing what marketing is, but doing marketing because now that we are trying to market, we're losing the plot. As opposed to when we did know that what we were doing was marketing, we were just doing the things that we intrinsically thought we needed to do to get business. But now that we're everything is marketing, 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 we're losing the plot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I don't think we should go back. I think what people need to do, and here's the reason you can't go back is because you're competing against people who are doing it and doing
Right.
it well. But also, as in our personal lives, we can't watch what other people are doing because we don't know the resources and the time and the effort that they're putting behind doing it. So you
Right.
see someone killing it in their business and their marketing looks nice. You don't know that they're using AI. You don't know that they have a friend who is helping them or that they are actually spending a good amount of their profit on that marketing effort because they see the value that it's giving to their future business prospects. So you really have to make that commitment on your own. I think a lot of times too, people and as a communicator, because as I said, I came in on this bandwagon on, people expect that this is free or that it shouldn't cost much because on the face of it, it's intangible, it's ephemeral, but the value add that it can have is very real. And so if you are not seeing or considering that something that is important, the other thing too is that marketing efforts are one of those things that are not immediate gratification, they're not instant gratification things. The results may take time because it's a part of the whole behavior change. I saw someone post something, I think it was PR Bell posted something, I don't know where I saw it, on Twitter or LinkedIn. She said, marketing is a science, communication is an art. It is a science. And so you have to be willing to go through that experiment, spend the money if you need to, and take the time to see the results. And unfortunately, some people may not be patient enough to do it. I'm not saying that you need to get a degree like Rachel, but at least some of the basic principles, try to absorb them. And I'm glad that Learn, Grow, Invest has said that if they didn't understand business and marketing, they wouldn't have grown, because that's really what we're expecting entrepreneurs who are starting out on their own to do, to really absorb some of those principles and be comfortable with it, understand that they're starting from scratch, learn as much as they can, and do what they can where they are, and move from there. So I think that's what we need to do. So you have the basics. We know for sell things, we sell things from their school, we sell sweetie. Learn how that really works because you're competing against people who are doing it.
Gotcha. And that's a really good word. to kind of end the show on. So pretty much, I got outvoted, and the actual expert said no, social media isn't dead or dying. It's just evolving. It may be evolving into something else, but it is still an absolutely useful tool, which is non-debatable. Useful tool. You just need to be able, you need to be flexible enough. Don't be like me. You need to be flexible enough to adapt to what this new thing is, and you need to you need to have some kind of plan on what you're doing with it. And if your foundations are not right, then you're not going to be flexible enough. And we did give you some advice on some of the things that you need to do to be able to try to differentiate yourself in a world of that's becoming very homogeneous. Everything looks the same, everybody's doing the same thing. Yeah, how to differentiate yourself in that world, that could be a whole other show. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. So yeah, next week Digital Jamaica Live is going to be coming to you from Kingston Creative, where we are going to be doing our we're going to have a digital planning, a digital strategy planning session, because some of y'all don't have a strategy. We just have to do things. We just do a little thing for do a little thing. And so we're going to help you kind of put some semblance of a strategy together. And I'm inviting some of my friends. So Kevin, look out for an invitation if you ain't busy. Some entrepreneurs and small businesses and some marketers are going to be there, who want to kind of figure it out because they're confused as to what's happening. They want to put a plan together to work the plan. So that's happening at Kingston Creative next week, Saturday. It's an invitation only one, this one, guys, because we're really testing out this process to see if this is something that people would be interested in. Blah, blah, blah. So it's an experiment, kind of. It's a beta event. But then if it does make sense, it's something that we want to be rolling out, because as I said, a lot of us need help kind of putting these things together, and we want to do it in a face-to-face way to see if that would have a little bit more, because we're always zoomed out, we're tired of Zoom online. So we want to come together, we want to eat some food, drink some juice, and build a strategy. And that's next week. Before that, though, Digital Jamaica Live will be on air, but it's going to be at Kingston Creative in person. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you so much, Kevin, for being on the show. This is why I always like to invite the experts on, because otherwise it would just be me sitting there going, I hate this. So thank you guys so much for being rational and kind of expanding my thought process on it as well. So you learned, they learned, we all learned. And thank you so much for joining us for another Digital Jamaica Live. What were we talking about? We're talking about AI cheat sheet. I'm giving you an AI cheat sheet next week on the show. So the different AI-based tools that you can have, that you can use for different things, whether you're a student, a small business, you want to be more productive. I've been compiling a list of AI tools, and I'm going to show you how to use them and what to use them for on the next Digital Live show. All right, guys. So I will see you then. Bye.